Before beginning today, I wanted to do a slight review, coupling it with our topics that we've been discussing the last few weeks at the very end of the discussions. The first week we discussed a Sanskrit term called Udipan. And I'm wondering if Tisha, do you remember what Udipan is by any chance whatsoever?
I don't remember.
Okay. Tucker Marari, do you remember what Udipan is? Unmute.
He's silenced and frozen.
Oh, okay. We're not really seeing him, huh? Okay. Vegavati, I don't know if you were there that week.
Swarga, maybe.
I don't remember
Was
whether
it?
I was there, but I think Udipan means something to stimulate ecstatic love.
Very good. Exactly. So we've been discussing the different ingredients of rasa, one every week. Last week we did the vibhavas. We'll go into that later at the end. But one of the things that I said that I wanted to couple it with was those udipans, or stimulants for ecstatic love, manifest differently according to time, place, circumstance. And if we follow the thread that we've been following, I think it was since chapter 20, which was the rainy season, and that had its particular features. Then we went to the autumn season, which when it transformed, the clouds dissipated, became white, the blue skies started to come, the cool breezes started to come to Vrindavan. That stimulated everyone in a different way. Then we went into the winter season, and that's pretty much where we're here now. So let us dive in and see how the cold weather stimulated everyone's exchanges. This is still February 2025, lessons 5 and 6, with chapter 22, stealing the garments of the unmarried gopi girls. Samapriya, can you please choose someone to
Yes.
read for us?
Yes. Thank you. Hare Krishna, everyone. Nice to see you here. This is such a very ecstatic pastime, very sweet. Thakur, are you ready there? Let's see.
Sounded like he was having some problems. I don't think first he should start.
Oh, okay, okay. Madhurya Leela? Madhurya Ji, are you there?
Yes, I am.
You want to read,
I was
sweetie?
gonna be first. Okay, go ahead. Okay, Srimad Bhagavatam 1022.1, Sarvartha Darshaning. Sukadeva Goswami continued. During the first month of the winter season, the young unmarried girls of Gokula observed the vow of worshipping goddess Katyani. For the entire month, they ate only unspiced khichdi. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, commentary. After describing the Purva Raga of the married gopis such as Radhika towards Krishna in the autumn season, there is a description of the Purva Raga of the unmarried Nityasiddha gopis such as Dhanya in connection with the Hemanta season. Purva Raga is intense loving attachment before meeting the beloved. Although, in fact, their loving affection for Krishna as an intimate associate was already established, still the Kanya Kumaris, virgin girls, following the ways of ordinary society, performed worship of Katyani Devi to attain Krishna as her husband. The distinction between these Kumari gopis performing a breta in the month of Margashirsha and those like Radha is made in the Hari Vamsha, Vishnu Purana, and Brahma's Purana, in such verses as the following. The young unmarried gopis gathered together while it was still dark.
Go on to the next one.
Actually, Sama,
Okay.
there's something that came up this week that we can go into and discuss here. Describing here that Vishwanath is saying that the unmarried girls were Nitya Siddha gopis,
Mm.
whereas Premananda quoted Sanatan Goswami in one of the forums saying that they weren't. Forget what he said, but it was that distinctly. Anybody remember what that forum statement was? I think he said that they were coming from Dandakaranya, that they were the sages of Dandakaranya. Yes, he did. He said that Sanatan Goswami quoted Padma Purana. So it may appear that there are contradictions between the different acharyas, but there's so many different considerations that it's impossible because we don't know what time period that is. The Puranas are universal histories. They don't just discuss one advent of Krishna. For example, when we were reading in the third canto about the appearance of Lord Varahadev, when we scrutinized those chapters more carefully, it was revealed that Maitreya, while speaking with Vidura, merged different kalpa, different Manvantara manifestations of Varahadev. There's two different Varaha incarnations. One's white, Sveta Varaha, and the other one's red, Rakta Varaha. One of them pulled the earth out of the ocean when it tilted and ended up in there, and the other one killed Hiranyaksha. But he merged the two, although they're Manvantaras apart. From one point of view, the time is so much different than our relative experience. So that's how I anyway resolve and reconcile when different commentators say something which is not philosophically different, but time period different.
But also
Go ahead.
From our point of view, they're associated with Krishna. All the residents of Braj, all the gopis, all the cowherd boys, they're all associating with Krishna. So that's very exalted. And from where we stand, we should look at it in that manner, I believe.
There was also another point that was interesting. It's indicating, as he describes in that last sentence, he is discriminating completely between the distinction between these Kumara gopis performing a vrat in the month of Margashirsh and those like Radha is made in the Harivamsa. In other words, Radharani was not one of the unmarried gopis, although they're only 6 years old. So it's something to take into consideration. And we'll see later in the Leela that they actually invite her on the last day of their vrat. So she wasn't doing this vrat on a regular daily basis.
They were only 6 years old. It says somewhere else that they were fully developed.
Yep, it does say they were fully developed.
Where does it say that they were 6 years old?
Well, we just followed the pastimes. I don't know if it's actually chronological, but they were talking about which button on here. We went through the we went through the Denuka Sura pastime, and that's when they went from their younger boyhood to Palgunda age and started taking care of the cows instead of the calves. Then there was Palambasura, Kaliya Leela, then the rainy season, then the autumn season, now the winter season. So
Well, it could be a different, hard to figure it out.
well, even so, Krishna leaves Vrindavan when he's 11 years old. So it's not that it's a marriage in a context like we understand it. Acharya, have you read anything about that? Any comment? Unmute, Prabhu.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was actually trying to look through the commentaries right now as you were speaking
Okay.
to see what I could find, but I haven't found anything yet.
Okay, if you do, let
If
us
I
know
see
and then
anything on
share
it, I'll share it in the forum but other than that, I hadn't heard the version of Sanatan Goswami before. I had also heard.
I actually looked it up in his in the Brihat Vaishnav Toshini and couldn't find it, but
Okay.
he apparently found it somewhere. I don't know. Well, I hope he didn't just hear it and write it
I doubt it. I doubt it.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, so I have nothing to add on that. Sorry.
Okay. The main point being made is that these are the unmarried girls. Some of the gopis are already married, and therefore the unmarried girls are about to perform a vrat, and we'll read more about it in the next slides.
Well, and I also have heard or read, I don't know exactly
Go
where,
ahead. Yes.
that the unmarried girls were the ones, like you're saying, Nityasiddhas, who could associate with Krishna directly, whereas the other ones were married. So
That's how Vishwanath presents
yeah.
it. Exactly, right.
yeah, that there was a different rasa. You know, they weren't. They had to be unmarried and untouched. So that's why.
But then we get into the illusion of the husbands.
No,
and-
that's another thing. That's a different topic because they're
Is
not, yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
The point is they're not married, even to illusory husbands.
Right. And they could associate with Krishna, not the married ones, because they'd been with men already, you know? So that's.
Acharya, your hand is up. Did you have more to add?
Yeah, just that married doesn't necessarily mean married. It could just mean like they're betrothed at that age.
Oh, very good.
That, the arrangement is made, in which case there's obviously no need for a Katyayani Vrata because it's already done. Even though they're not, quote unquote
Well,
married.
those the Kanyakumaris are not the ones in question.
No, that's what I'm saying about Radha
The
and the
other-
others who were not included, saying because they're married, but that married doesn't mean necessarily,
Touched.
everything and living with the husband and all that. It
But
could,
they had already gone through
it
the
could just mean
ceremony.
that, okay, they're betrothed, the marriage is arranged, it's going to happen. And Prabhupada would explain like that, how it would be arranged, and then they wouldn't live together. The wife would serve the husband, and gradually.
They were married first, and then the wife would go to the husband's house to serve him, and then come back home to stay with her father. When
When you said married, Samad, do you mean that the ceremony was already performed?
Yeah, the ceremony
No.
would be performed
No.
when they were 6 years old.
No. What happens is that in Vedic culture, although the girl is betrothed to the boy, they're not the marriage. The actual ceremony comes later. That's my understanding. That's the way they do it. in
Yeah,
India.
of course, the ceremony becomes later. All right,
Okay.
that's a confusion here.
Tisha has a question.
Tisha,
What exactly does Nitya Siddha mean?
eternally liberated,
Okay.
one who is never affected by the material energy. Actually, someone who descends from the spiritual world, isn't fallen like the rest of the conditioned souls. Not a conditioned soul. Srila Prabhupada is a Nitya Siddha. He came on his own accord or by the direction of Krishna to the material world, not because he wanted to enjoy his senses.
Was everybody in this Leela with Krishna in Vrindavan? Wasn't everyone a Nitya Siddha though? Right?
Well, different kinds of Nitya Siddhas.
No, they weren't Nitya Siddha. There's another term, Tisha, called sadhana siddha. A person who is a sadhana siddha, a jiva, is an individual who's gone through the process of the material sojourn of samsara, come to the point through that process of being attracted to Krishna, taking to the sadhana, performing bhakti yoga, and actually becoming perfected as far as possible from that nitya baddha. It's called nitya baddha, from that conditioned state. Then what happens is when they leave their bodies, it's described they go to the universe where Krishna is performing his leelas. Krishna has descended along with his other Nitya Siddha associates. So he's there with his friends and associates from the spiritual world, and the sadhana siddhas from different universes come and gather with them and get that association to be with Krishna and his eternal associates and get a final polish and maturity in their own devotional service so that they become qualified and completely freed from any material residue that may have been there, so that when they leave, when Krishna and his Nityasiddhas associates go back to Goloka Vrindavan, those sadhanasiddhas go with them. Then, oddly enough, by our terms, then they're called Nityasiddhas, although they're not, they're like new Nityasiddhas. It's actually described in the Brahmas and the Bhagavatamrita that even though they're in the spiritual world, there is a distinction. Everybody knows the difference, although there's no false ego about being senior or anything of that nature.
Yeah, it's very interesting that after having been an eternally conditioned soul, one can become an eternally liberated soul. And so that is a little confusing, because eternity would indicate from time immemorial. So it's
as we'll discuss in the end today in our descriptions and buildup of rasa ingredients, in one sense, the living entity has eternal love for Krishna within the heart, Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema Sajjikabanoy, but goes through the material experience, which helps cultivate that love and awaken that love ultimately. It's complicated, complex, let's say that.
Hare Krishna. Okay.
Aye.
Should we go on? I was going to ask Madhurya to just finish that next slide. Madhurya ji, would you like to read yeah, that.
Okay, sorry. Unmuting takes a while. Krishna book, Srimad Bhagavatam 10:22-1. According to Vedic civilization, unmarried girls from 10 to 14 years of age are supposed to worship either Lord Shiva or the goddess Durga in order to get a nice husband. But the unmarried girls of Vrindavan were already attracted by the beauty of Krishna. They were, however, engaged in the worship of the goddess Durga in the beginning of the Hemanta season, just prior to the winter season. The first month of Hemanta is called Argyana, October, November. And at that time, all the unmarried gopis of Vrindavan began to worship goddess Durga with a vow. They first ate Habishana, a kind of foodstuff prepared by boiling together mung dal and rice without any spices or turmeric. According to Vedic injunction, this kind of foodstuff is recommended to purify the body before one enacts a ritualistic ceremony.
Okay. Well, that gives a little indication. Prophet is telling about the age of the devotee of the girls who perform the sacrifice.
But that's after, so they could be betrothed before and then, like you said, married later, you know? That could be just, I don't know.
Okay, let's not speculate. It'll come to us, or we'll read it. Okay. All right.
Talk a little bit about their enthusiasm and their determination to do that for a month. Madhurya Leela.
Well, they wanted to make sure they get Krishna as their husband. So they were willing to go to all ends to do that.
So how, when it says follow the mode of the gopis, how can we understand that in our own circumstance?
How should we follow like that? Is that what you mean? How should we?
I'm saying how can we understand our process, our attempt, our endeavor is to try and develop an intimate relationship with the Supreme Lord and follow the example of his associates. So to what extent do we do that?
We don't copy or we don't imitate, but we follow in their footsteps. So with the same determination in our devotional service, try to develop that mood of having that determination to do whatever it takes to develop our love for him.
Thank you.
Very good. We've been given a process, And through that process, we can attain, we can develop this determination and this desire to have Krishna as our husband, or Krishna as our friend, or whatever relationship we desire. And that's perfect. That's perfect. He's the greatest lover. Oh my goodness. This is such a sweet story, this beautiful story. Yes, Acharya.
Yeah, when I was reading this, I was thinking how how Prabhupada explained that the Maha Mantra, not exactly translation, but the purport of it is, my dear Krishna, my dear Radha, please engage me in your service. That's really, in one sense, is just another version of the more intense and more specific Gopi's prayer to, we want to be engaged in Krishna's service, that we want him to be our husband. So we can't necessarily ask for that right now. But when we chant, when we pray to Krishna, please engage me in your service, it's the same general idea.
Very nice.
Well,
Beautiful.
can I comment a little bit on that? Because
Please.
actually, we can ask for that now. We can ask for being friends with Krishna or being the wife of Krishna. Actually, it says in the residents of Jambudweep in the 5th canto, that when they're offering their prayers to Krishna, and they're saying that any other person to depend on other than you, as for a woman, would be disappointing. So, and Prabhupada told many devotees to make Krishna your husband. In other words, make him the focus of everything. He is the eternal husband, and women who are renounced, it's very important to make Krishna your husband. That deepens your love and devotion. Not that we're gopis and we're going to go dancing with Krishna. That takes a little while. But to make Krishna your husband means that he's the center of your life, and everything you do is for his pleasure, and your relationship will develop. Your total dependence on him will develop. So that mood that the gopis had, all we want is that Krishna would be our husband. That means all I want is to serve Krishna. So I think that
Which is basically what Acharya just said, right? It's
basically the same.
That sentiment while we chant should be cultivated.
Yes, but not that we can't think of Krishna as our husband. We don't think in the, touching Krishna and the whole thing and Sajya, but that devotion that the gopis had, that's what we want, to make Krishna our husband. Okay, that's it. We are talking about these eternal topics. So we could just go on with one verse in the Bhagavatam, according to Bhaktisiddhanta. Okay, so let's go on now with Acharya. Would you like to read?
Yes, thank you. Srimad Bhagavatam 10:22, text 2 through 4. Sarartha Darshini. My dear king, after they had bathed in the water of the Yamuna, just as the sun was rising, the gopis made an earthen deity of goddess Durga on the riverbank. Then they worshipped her with such aromatic substances as sandalwood pulp, along with other items both opulent and simple, including lamps, fruits, betel nuts, newly grown leaves, and fragrant garlands and incense. Each of the young unmarried girls performed her worship while chanting the following mantra: O goddess Katyayani, O great potency of the Lord, O possessor of great mystic power and mighty controller of all, please make the son of Nanda Maharaj my husband. I offer my obeisances unto you. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. The goddess Durga mentioned in this verse is not the illusory energy of Krishna called Mahamaya, but rather the internal potency, Chit Shakti of the Lord, known as Yoga Maya. The distinction between the internal and external potency of the Lord is described in the Narada Pancharatra. Quote, Mahavishnu's inferior potency, known as Durga, is dedicated to his loving service. Being the Lord's potency, this inferior energy is non-different from him, Mahavishnu Swarupini. There is another superior potency whose form is on the same spiritual level as that of God himself. Simply by scientifically understanding this supreme potency, one can immediately achieve the supreme soul of all souls, who is the Lord of Lords. There is no other process to achieve him. That supreme potency of the Lord is known as Gokuleshwari, the goddess of Gokula. Her nature is to be completely absorbed in love of God, and through her, one can easily obtain the primeval God, the Lord of all that be.
Oh my goodness. Please explain that,
Uh,
the last sentence. Patsy, the next slide. Oh, that's it. Oh, that's it. Yeah. Please
the
explain
last
that.
sentence,
Yeah. Her nature should be complete. Absorbed
Krishna
in love.
has his different energies, and they're all non-different from him, but still it said even the inferior energy is non-different from him, but the spiritual energy is particularly explicitly one with him and part of devotion and is the source of devotional service to him.
Anything else you'd like to say on that? Sorry, this is jam-packed.
I don't know. I have nothing else to add.
Okay, then we'll go. Okay. All right. So because
Someone else, perhaps.
Okay, we'll read the next verse. Vega, read this, and then we can have a discussion because it's the same topic. Thank you, Acharya.
Okay, let's see. Srimad Bhagavatam 10:22, 2 through 4. Krishna. The Vaishnavas generally do not worship any demigods. Srila Narottam Das Thakur has strictly forbidden all worship of the demigods for anyone who wants to advance in pure devotional service. Yet, the gopis, who are beyond compare in their affection for Krishna, were seen to worship Durga. The worshippers of demigods also sometimes mention that the gopis also worshipped goddess Durga, but we must understand the purpose of the gopis. Generally, people worship goddess Durga for some material benediction. Here, the gopis prayed to the goddess to become wives of Lord Krishna. The purport is that if Krishna is the center of activity, a devotee can adopt any means to achieve that goal. The gopis could adopt any means to satisfy or serve Krishna. That was the super excellent characteristic of the gopis. They worshipped goddess Durga completely for 1 month in order to have Krishna as their husband. Every day they prayed for Krishna, the son of Nanda Maharaj, to become their husband. Early in the morning, the gopis used to go to the bank of the Jamuna to take bath. They would assemble together, capturing each other's hands, and loudly sing of the wonderful pastimes of Krishna. It is an old system among Indian girls and women that when they take bath in the river, they place their garments on the bank and dip into the water completely naked. The portion of the river where the girls and women take bath was strictly prohibited to any male member, and this is still the system. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, knowing the minds of the unmarried young gopis, benedicted them with their desired objective. They had prayed for Krishna to become their husband, and Krishna wanted to fulfill their desires.
Okay, before you change the slide, they go up to the previous sentence, the previous paragraph. Yeah, the purport, and read the purport from there.
The purport is that if Krishna is the center of activity, a devotee can adopt any means to achieve that goal.
Okay, keep going.
The gopis could adopt any means to satisfy or serve Krishna. That was the super excellent characteristic of the gopis.
Okay, so what you want to explain that? Because that's really an important point of this whole pastime and the worship of the demigod.
Yeah, but he mentions here that some people, demigod worshippers, will cite that example. Well, the gopis worshipped Durga, so why are you telling us that we shouldn't? But I was just reading last night, I believe in Sarartha Darshani, that the Durga that they worshipped was a different Durga. It's like she's one manifestation when she's fulfilling people's material desires, and another manifestation for giving people access to Krishna. So, yeah, just that if the goal is Krishna, then any means can be adopted. It's
Right.
funny because what I thought of was, those early days of the movement when we did so many things that now seem cultish. I mean, Swarg and I were among the many that were sent out to collect funds, and all over the world, devotees were selling this and selling that. Nobody was keeping any money. It was because we were asked to do this by Prabhupada or his representatives, and so from somebody's angle of vision, oh, this is just money-making scheme. But we were trying to serve Krishna. And yeah, like that.
Yeah, Prabhupada he made it very simple. He made it, if you do something for Krishna, if you worship a demigod, I remember reading this many years ago in the Krishna book, of course, and Prabhupada specifically was saying they worshipped Katyayani, but for Krishna, to get Krishna as their husband. And that way you can do anything if Krishna is the goal.
Right.
If you want Krishna, then I'll pray to anyone to get Krishna. Right? So they prayed to Katyayani, who now we find out is the spiritual Katyayani, or the higher, more superior Katyayani. But in those days, Katyayani was a demigod, and we didn't pray to the demigods. And then Prabhupada said, if you want Krishna, they're glorious because they prayed to to Katyayani for Krishna as their husband. So that was right.
And even in that, as you mentioned earlier, it's not for Krishna as their husband so they could enjoy him, but for Krishna as their husband so they could serve him.
And love him, serve him and love. Love actually means serve, right?
Right.
Yes. Okay, good. Okay, shall we go on now? Let's see. Yes. Tisha, you want to read?
Yes. Hare Krishna. Hi, everyone.
Hare Krishna.
Srimad Bhagavatam 10:22, verse 5 through 7, Sarartha Darshani. Thus, for an entire month, the girls carried out their vow and properly worshipped the goddess Bhadrakali, fully absorbing their minds in Krishna and meditating upon the following thought. May the son of King Nanda become my husband. Each day they rose at dawn, calling out to one another by name. They all held hands and loudly sang the glories of Krishna while going to the Kalindi to take their bath. One day they came to the riverbank and, putting aside their clothing as they had done before, happily played in the water while singing the glories of Krishna. Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakur's commentary. Kadachit, which I guess means once, here means on the full moon day when the gopis had completed their 1-month vow. This was mentioned in the 5th verse. To celebrate the successful completion of their vow, the Vraja Kumaris invited Rashbanunandini, who was the special object of their affection, along with other main gopis, and brought them all to the river to bathe. Their playing in the Yamuna was meant to serve as the Avavarta Snana, the ceremonial bath taken immediately upon the completion of a Vedic sacrifice.
Okay, so Vrishabhanu Nandini, that's a
Wow.
name for Radharani,
Oh,
because she is the daughter of Vrishabhanu. Nandini means daughter. Vrishabhanu is her father, King Vrishabhanu. So that's who we're talking about here. Okay. Should we discuss this, Pati, or should we go on to
Well,
the
the
next
next one goes on to another topic. If there's anything that needs to be discussed here, sure.
Okay.
I think that it's kind of connecting several different threads are coming into the tapestry. One is that they've completed their vow for an entire month. He's pointing out that that means that now it's the next full moon. They had done it starting on the full moon. Now they finished up on a full moon, which completed their vow. Therefore, to celebrate the successful completion, they invited Vrishabhanu Nandini, which reveals that Radha was there. That's kind of a setup.
Right.
And the
And also-
Avabrita bath,
Good.
the Avabrita snan is a ceremonial bath taken at the end of a sacrifice to bring about its completion.
Okay. So let's go on. Tisha, you want to read this next verse too?
Yes. Srimad Bhagavatam 10:22, verse 8, Sarartha Darshini. Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead and master of all masters of mystic yoga, was aware of what the gopis were doing, and thus he went there, surrounded by his young companions, to award the gopis the perfection of their endeavor. Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakur's commentary. Krishna is the master of all masters of mystic yoga. Thus, being omniscient, Krishna easily understood the desires of the gopis, and he would fulfill them. The gopis, like all young girls from respectable families, considered the embarrassment of appearing naked before a young boy to be worse than death. Yet Sri Krishna made them come out of the Yamuna and bow down to him. Although the gopis' bodies were fully developed, and although Krishna met them in a secluded place and brought them fully under his control, because Krishna is completely transcendental, there was not a trace of material desire in his mind. As the ocean of transcendental bliss, Sri Krishna wanted to share his bliss with the gopis on the spiritual platform, completely free of mundane lust. This is the import of the word Yogeshvareshvara. Yogeshvareshvara. According to Shastric references, the word Vyayasya, or young companions, means mere toddlers, 2 or 3 years old. These young boys were completely naked and were unaware of the difference between male and female. The Kramadipika says, Krishna was surrounded by babies who spoke in broken language, who wore tiger nails around their necks and tinkling bells around their waists, and who had fat thighs. The Vaishnava Toshani, quoting from Gautamiya Tantra, lists the names of the boys as Dhamma, Sudama, Vasudama, and Kinkini. They were the very personification of Krishna's heart.
Okay. So these young boys, this is Krishna is so clever. There is no mundane sex desire or performance or anything, and the presence of these young boys is also significant of that. Does anyone have something to add to this? This is Acharya or Nanda. We haven't heard from Nanda yet. Nanda, would you like to comment on that a little bit?
It's Hare Krishna. It's just like Krishna's divine arrangement. He arranges everything perfectly so that there's no, you could say, contradictions or, disturbances to the mood, because he's center stage. He and the relationship with the gopis is center stage. And the little guys that are there speaking in their broken language, they're just kind of like, you could say, the fillers in the play, but they're not major players, and they're not contradicting the relationship or involving themselves in the rasa between Krishna and the girls. That's all.
Right. And because of their innocence,
Yeah.
they're not disturbing that rasa at all, or implicating anything other than pure innocence. Midoriya?
I was just surprised or a little taken aback by the statement that these girls are used to going into the rivers completely naked, which is not what I have heard of or seen. They're most of the time covered in some kind of cloth.
Well, Prabhupada says that in the Krishna book, that there's a place in the river where only the ladies are allowed to bathe, and no one is allowed to come there. Only the women.
even then, my
Yeah.
understanding was that they cover with at least a lungi or, or something, So that was surprising to me.
Yeah, I guess things were different 5,000 years ago.
I guess so.
Mama Dara, thank you, Madoya.
I understand what Madura Lila is saying, but because of the season, it was so cold that even if you wore a lingi or something in the water, you would be so cold from the fabric being cold and wet and touching your body. So I understand, but when you go into the water naked and you come out and put on dry clothes, it keeps you from being cold versus having on wet clothes, I guess is what I'm saying.
You mean swimming in the wet clothes?
Yes, swimming in the wet clothes makes you colder.
Practical. It's practical.
Yeah.
That's a good way to look at it. Good. That could solve everything right there. Thank you. Acharya, did you write something? Did you want to say something? Yes.
Yeah, I
Well-
just thought that there's that village standards might sometimes be a little different than like formal standards. Like a formal standard is that actually you're never supposed to be naked. But village standards, oh, you go to the river, it's all ladies, okay, you take all your clothes off. It's like a village standard, maybe a little different than a formal standard.
Is that a speculation or do you?
It's completely speculation.
Oh, no.
And
All right.
why should
All
I
right,
stop
let's
now?
move it.
And
Okay.
another speculation is that also a standard for little girls might be a little different than standard for grown women.
Yeah, that's true. But then the question is, later we will see, Krishna says that, or Prabhupada says in the Prabhupada, they were fully developed. So
we
this
just
is,
read that.
yeah, I mean, so it's confusing. But that's okay because we're a completely conditioned soul. So if we're confused about it, we shouldn't beat ourselves up about it. Just keep chanting Hare Krishna and everything will be perfect.
Another underlying theme that wasn't discussed or even mentioned, but we can take it to heart, is that if we're doing something with an intention to please Krishna as a bhakti element, like the Gopi girls were, it's mentioned that in the beginning that Yogesvara Esvara, he's the supreme mystic and he's also Paramatma in everyone's heart. So he understands the desire, and now he's going to fulfill it, as we'll see as it unfolds.
Okay, that's perfect. Very good. Okay, now okay, Mandantar, would you like to read? Thank you, everyone.
Real quickly, does the name of the 4 toddlers have any significance or meaning here? Kind of like when Krishna's birth mom, Devaki, lost her 6 sons, and each of them had a meaning, like Rhoda or, Thomas or something.
They were representatives of those 6 unwanted things in the mind.
Yes.
Here it says these were the very personification of Krishna's heart. And I read elsewhere, I don't remember which one's which, but one is his mind, one is his intelligence, one is his ego, and forget what the other one was. But yes, these are manifestations of those aspects of Krishna.
Completely pure. That's another
Yes.
reason why they would come as young, pure, even innocent babies.
They would
This
go
is-
everywhere with Krishna, just as one's mind goes with someone everywhere.
Right.
And this all adds. Krishna Nanda was saying he's a genius. He is a genius. He set everything up so that, especially the rasa dance, children 6, 7 years old are dancing together. I mean, there's all innocence there. No one could say anything other than that. So it's beautiful. Okay, let's go on now. So, Mandatar?
yeah.
Okay. I can't see the text, but taking okay, thank you. So Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 10, Chapter 22, text 9 through 11. Sarartha Darshini. Taking the girl's garments, he quickly climbed to the top of the Kadamba tree. Then, as he laughed loudly, his companions also laughed. He addressed the girls jokingly. Lord Krishna said, "My girls, you may each come here as you wish and take back your garments. I am telling you the truth, and I'm not joking with you, since I see you're fatigued from executing austere vows. I have never before spoken a lie, and these boys know it. Therefore, O slender-waisted girls, please come forward, either one by one or all together, and pick out your clothes." Visvanatha Chakravarti Thakur. Commentary. The Gopis. From far away, please throw the clothes to us in the water, or just have the young boys bring them here. Krishna. I am unable to discern one woman's clothes from another. How then can I throw them to you? Being a very religious person, I do not touch the possessions of others, even with my fingernail. Therefore, you must come here, identify your own clothes, and take them. It is my firm rule not to touch, take, or give the things of others. The Gopis. Because you are so imprudent, you can embarrass us. Due to this fear and the fact that we are respectable women, we will not come near you. Krishna. One of the young girls among you can come forward if she is not embarrassed and returns to you. Then others can come one by one, or all can come together. If you come as a group, it will be impossible to embarrass you. The head is the topmost part of the body, and it is very beautiful. So please show me your heads. If you can show your heads, then you should not be embarrassed to show me your other beautiful limbs, including your beautiful slender waists.
Oh my goodness. So what's happening here, Mandatara?
It sounds like Krishna is requesting like for the girls to come forward without duplicity, because he's aware of their prayer and their sacrifice and everything that they're doing to attain him as their husband. And so he's reciprocating, but he's also requesting for them to come naked. Naked meaning kind of like for us to come without baggage, conditioning, you know what I mean? To come.
Oh, good. That's
to come
good.
to him without, any other intentions other than, his, love for him. So, I mean,
Nice. Good.
yeah. But he did the same thing with Sudama, right? But the only witness there was the goddess Lakshmi. When Sudama came with, is it Sudama? When he came with the chipped rice
Mhm.
pastime, but Saddam was hiding the chipped rice out of shyness, embarrassment, just like the gopis, and Krishna basically snatched it from him, in terms of because he came with it as an offering, but was too shy to offer it because he was overwhelmed with Krishna's opulence.
Good. You're seeing the similarities of different reactions to Krishna's shyness in Sudama and the girls.
Yeah.
And giving themselves. They want to give themselves to Krishna.
Yeah.
But they're too shy to, but they really want to, and they're really happy because and Sudama was embarrassed, and right. Krishna puts his devotees into uncomfortable situations sometimes. He likes to see the innocence. He's really appreciating the innocence of the gopis and their pure love. Very good observation, Mandatara. Thank you. All right. Let's go to the next slide unless anyone else. Well, let's just go on. And Swarga. Would you like to read Swarga? Let's see. There.
Unmute. Okay, there we go.
Good. There you go.
Okay. Okay, Srimad Bhagavatam.
There's too many.
Wait, I have to go in the other room because
Yeah, Swaga, you have a real bad echo. You got to mute you.
Because there's two computers right next to each other. You have to go far away.
Maybe while they adjust, we can have somebody
Okay.
else read this one.
Okay, Chita, you want to read?
Haribol, Ganapapa
Haribol,
everyone.
sweetie.
So nice. I actually have a question, but I'll wait till after I read. So this is Srimad Bhagavatam 10:22-12, Sararta Darshini. Seeing how Krishna was joking with them, the gopis became fully immersed in love for him. And as they glanced at each other, they began to laugh and joke among themselves, even in their embarrassment. But still, they did not come out of the water. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. To make Krishna happy, I think we should not be so self-conscious. Thinking like this, the gopis began to joyfully talk among themselves. Glancing at one another, they became embarrassed. The gopis were from most respectable families, and they might have argued with Krishna, "Why don't you simply leave our clothes on the bank of the river and go away?" When the gopis saw Krishna's determination, they were filled with loving ecstasy. Although embarrassed, they were overjoyed to receive such attention from Krishna. He was joking with them as if they were his wives or girlfriends. And the gopis' only desire was to achieve such a relationship with him. At the same time, they were embarrassed to be seen naked by him. But still, they could not help laughing at his joking words and even began to joke among themselves. One gopi said to another, "Oh, lotus-eyed one, Krishna is calling you." The second gopi answered, "Oh, beautiful-faced one, you go first. You go first. And let us see if Krishna plays any tricks on you. Then we will go later." In this way, they joked amongst themselves, but remained in the water without moving.
Oh, boy. That's wonderful. What,
This
Nandi?
next one's the same topic, Sam, so maybe she can read
Okay,
it.
go on, Sally.
Sure. Okay, so Krishna book, Srimad Bhagavatam 10:22, 8-12. At the end of the month, Krishna, along with his friends, appeared on the scene. Another name of Krishna is Yogeshwar, the master of all mystic powers. By practicing meditation, the yogi can study the psychic movement of other men, and certainly Krishna could understand the desire of the gopis. Appearing on the scene, Krishna immediately collected all the garments of the gopis, climbed up in a nearby tree, and with smiling face, began to speak with them. "My dear girls," he said, "please come here one after another and pray for your garments and then take them away. I'm not joking with you. I'm just telling the truth. I have no desire to play any joke with you, for you have observed the regulative principles for 1 month by worshiping goddess Katyayani. Please do not come here all at once. Come alone. I want to see each of you in your complete beauty, for you all have thin waists. I have requested you to come alone. Now, please comply."
Oh my goodness, here it is. This is the whole thing. Here he is.
They both parties want this, and yet Krishna's being direct about it, and now the gopis are seemingly succumbing to shyness. I mean, it sounds pretty natural to me. I don't want to come out of the water and be seen naked, but they know that this is what they have spent this whole month working towards. And now, wow, instant gratification. There it is. Krishna's right there on the bank.
Well, actually, it's not so instant. They really performed a lot of austerities, which is Krishna told them, "You performed so much austerity after so much time. Here I am. You prayed for me," right?
Yeah, it's amazing, right? At the very end, the very last day of their vrata, here is Krishna. So he's right on schedule, and they weren't expecting that, I guess.
How can you relate that to us in our lives?
We I can only speak for myself, and that is that you ask for something and then we expect delays, we expect complications. But here is Krishna right on time, standing there before them and saying, okay, all you got to do is come see me with your hands over your head together in prayer, and I will accept. Naked.
That's
the hard part.
They're having trouble with that. They're having trouble because, and we all have trouble with that because we want to give Krishna some of our time, but we don't really want to throw ourselves completely in front of Krishna, naked as it were, and give him everything. It's mentally.
That was perfect, Chata. We just watched you with your light bulb moment.
Hooray.
Yeah. I like what Mama Tara said about naked. I mean, that no baggage.
No
Right.
baggage. Yes, I like
We're
that.
coming in front of Krishna naked, just you, the soul, not thinking that you are even this body. Of course, different for them. Let's not get there. But
Thank you,
anyone-
Mantar. It's beautifully said.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're also being asked. We're being asked. I think it was Butler who said many years ago, Krishna doesn't see what you're giving, but he sees what you're holding back.
God.
And
He also sees what we're giving too.
and-
Come on.
but both are taken into consideration.
Yeah.
So here
Right.
the gopis are feeling like, well, we got to hold back. We can't be seen naked, but Krishna
Yeah.
says, come on, I want it all. I want the whole package,
Right.
the whole package. So my question is, I'm astonished that Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has the authority or the sporty, the ability to have visions and come up with these dialogues between Krishna and the gopis, and that enhances our understanding of the situation. He does this over and over and over again in his Sarartha Darshini, and it's mind-blowing. And I say, he's completing all these empty spaces in our understanding with these astonishing dialogues. They're not mental speculation. They are actually experiences of him. I'm so grateful to be privy
Very
to.
nice. Yeah. Yeah, it's beautiful.
A lot of the Goswami's books, you'll find that there are conversations, and it's their vision. And also Prabhupada does that too. In his purports, he gives us this, because Krishna's a person, he's having relationships, and we're hearing from the Acharyas who have the relationship with Krishna. So this is very perfect. Thank you. That was a very wonderful point. Thank you, Dolly. Acharya, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I particularly really loved Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur giving the gopis expression that we should not be self-conscious. So that particular phrase also really struck me. It reminded me of a story from the very early days in ISKCON. I can't remember the devotee, one of Prabhupada's lady disciples told it, how they had, at first, the first japa beads were these big red beads, and they were asking Prabhupada about going out in public wearing these big beads, and maybe also talking about dhoti, going in public with dhoti and sari. Should we do that? And Prabhupada said, if you are not ashamed. So, and actually the devotee said, because of Prabhupada's accent, they thought he was saying, if you are not SM'd. So they didn't understand it first. But Prabhupada said, yes, if you are not ashamed. So that's a kind of self-consciousness that a neophyte devotee has, like, oh, go out with a shaved head in public or wear a dhoti or a sari in public. That's also, we have to put aside the self-consciousness in order to please Krishna, in order to surrender Krishna. And there's all sorts of, different self-consciousness we have all the way through our devotional service. And, nothing like what the gopis are expressing, but that's also part of our surrender is to wrestle with this different kinds of self-consciousness.
Definitely. That's
Yeah.
definitely because we're doing something totally different. In the very beginning, nobody understood Krishna. It was like bizarre to our parents when we came home with tilak and, beads and
Yeah, that was a lot of self-consciousness to overcome.
they couldn't figure it out. They could not figure it out for anything where we were coming from, and then to go out into the street and it was hard. Well, and often we talk about it, how we had to give up a lot, just like the gopis gave up. We did give up our families. We did give up the preconceived ideas of what life was by hearing from Prabhupada. We're still trying to give it up.
Yeah. I was also thinking how with the gopis that, of course, they're completely surrendered to Krishna, but if they were there naked in the river and Krishna said, come out, offer obeisances, and they just immediately said, okay, and they got out and offered obeisances, that's actually not as sweet and not as beautiful as, oh my God, they're wrestling with it and battling with their shame and their this. It makes the whole pastime even sweeter.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I don't know if me wrestling with, wearing a dhoti in public is the same thing or if that pleases Krishna at all. But there's maybe some parallels here and there.
Yeah, certainly. That's a beautiful point. Thank you. Nanda?
I would like, thank you, Hare Krishna. I would like Acharya to comment on the forum that he just posted, or at least that I just read, I should say, about the letter in the BTG and regarding the gopis being naked, because I think it's very relevant right now. Could you do that, Acharya? Because I don't have the whole quote that you had from the.
I don't have it in front of me now, but I'll just summarize it. And there was a particular context to what Prabhupada said that in an early Back to Godhead magazine, they had printed an article and a photo, and the photo was a photo of the painting of the naked gopis before Krishna, and also within that article, someone said gave an interpretation that we should all come naked before Krishna. And Prabhupada was not very happy with that photo and that article, and he asked that it be removed from the Bhagavad Gita because the photo was improper. He described, ordinary people will not understand, and a brahmachari should never, in any, case, look at depictions of naked women. And he also said that we don't need to give an interpretation. Now, this was in a particular circumstance about the BTG article. I think that that's a reasonable interpretation, like Prabhu said that, that give up that coming naked before Krishna, we can understand for us means giving up our baggage and stuff and such. But Prabhupada didn't like it as an interpretation to like replace or supplant the literal meaning of the literal example of the pastime. But I don't have that letter in front of me, but it's in the forum. It's just a caution because it's such a delicate thing and so easily misunderstood for people who are, not familiar with Krishna consciousness, that he didn't want it publicized in Back to Godhead.
It's interesting that in this forum, all of us here, we can say things like that with each other. We can bring these topics up. This is the place to bring it up. This is the place to discuss it. And it's a safe environment, whatever conclusion we come to, if someone's right about it, wrong about it, or doesn't see it in this way, that way, this is a safe environment to churn this kind of transcendental nectar, actually. But,
yes, absolutely. I just provided that letter just to sort of give it a little additional framing.
Stir the pot. Stir the pot.
It was a great reference. Yes.
Very good. Okay. Let's go on. I just wonder if Murari is with us. Thakur, are you there? because you might be having computer problems. Oh,
I'm
there you
here.
are.
Can you hear me? Can you hear
Yes,
me?
yes. Please read
I'm
for us.
here. Okay. Srimad Bhagavatam 10.22, the 13th Sarasa Darshini. As Sri Govinda spoke to the gopis in this way, his joking words completely captivated their minds. Submerged up to the necks in the cold water, they began to shiver. Thus they addressed him as follows. Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur. In this way, Govinda continued to joke. The word Govinde, Hari, here rather means one who speaks in sweet words, such as the following. Krishna, oh dark-eyed girls, if you don't come here, I will tie all these clothes to a branch of the tree, make a hammock and pillow, and lie down since I am now quite sleepy due to having stayed up all night. End of quote. The gopis are completely captivated by Krishna's joking words, but out of shyness, they submerge themselves in the water up to their necks, trembling from the cold and also from the anxiety, joy, and eagerness. Gopis address Krishna as follows.
Wow. All right. You want to go on?
Yeah, good. Okay, so 10.22, and that is 14 to 15. Saharsa Darshini. Dear Krishna, don't be unfair. We know that you are the respectable son of Nanda, that you are honored by everyone in Braj. You're also very dear to us. Please give us back our clothes. We are shivering in the cold water. O Shama Shunda, we are your maidservants and must do whatever you say. But give us back our clothing. You know what the religious principles are. And if you don't give us our clothes, we will have to tell the king. Please. We shall not talk about backward. In verse 14, the gopis try to satisfy Krishna by using one of the 4 diplomatic principles known as Sama, pacification. The gopis said, you're born in a cultured family, so you should not do unworthy activities. The gopis continue their attempts to pacify Krishna. Moreover, because you are very beautiful, we have to become your servants, and thus under the guise of being servants, we offer ourselves, our very selves to you. Then in verse 15, the gopis employ the diplomatic principle known as Veda, as a process of dividing. By using rough language to weaken Krishna, the gopis said, oh, no, of the religious principles, you will be acting religiously if you steal the wealth of chastity from women and see them naked. Seeing that it was futile to instill fear of religion in Krishna, the gopis then resorted to threats to instill fear. If you do not give all clothing, we will complain to the king, that's Nanda or Kamsa. End of quote.
Thank you. Okay, so what about this instilling the fear of irreligion in Krishna? I thought that was kind of far out.
So Krishna is the what should I say now?
Bring it back to the words.
Let me see, where is it now?
No religious principles. That's the gopis.
Okay, so Krishna is the one who established all the standards of religion. So, for example, for him to be there, watching those naked, the gopis. In other words, ordinarily speaking, that would not have happened because it is said in the culture that where the girls or the young women go to bathe, no male is allowed there. But for the Supreme Lord to be there watching the girls and saying, you girls have to come before me naked, that's it would seem to be not, being religious. Right. Usually that doesn't happen. So that's my take on it.
Certainly not irreligious.
Yes.
No. I thought it was kind of funny that he was not afraid, of being accused of being irreligious, considering who he is, after all. Thank you, Thakur.
Yes, just to say, okay, I think we see where he said, well, okay, if you tell my father, I think we see that in further verses. If you tell my father, what can he do? For example, he's an old man.
Right.
Plus, I'm not afraid of King Kamsa, So it's kind of nice, the dialogue there. So, yeah.
Yeah, Krishna is perfect, acting like a perfect boy. He was laughing, if you remember a little bit further up that we read, he was laughing when he came, and he took the clothes and he laughed and ran up a tree to hide them. He's really enjoying this whole thing. Cheta?
Pretty Bull, does anybody know what the fourth diplomatic principle is?
Argumentum ad vaculum.
Thank you.
Which means?
Oh, hit him with a stick.
Okay. Yeah, that's true. Oh, here's Acharya. Thank you, Vega. Acharya?
Thank you, Vega.
Yeah, I actually looked that up just this morning. Sama, Dana, Beta, and Danda. Sama means pacification. Dana means bribery or giving gifts. Beta means division, like divide and conquer. And Danda means force. Those are the four kinds of diplomacy.
Nice, thank you. That was great.
Very good.
It's actually mentioned in the 7th canto of the Bhagavatam that's what were their names?
Sandana.
Yeah, Sanda and Amarka were trying to teach Prahlad that.
Good. Thank you. All right, wait. Let's go. Come on.
I was just going to say, Swarga can use my microphone and then it won't have an echo.
That's okay.
Okay, good. Swargaji. Yeah, read this one.
Apparently she's getting an echo in her hearing aid, so never mind.
Oh, she's getting it. She can't take it out for a moment.
And she won't hear herself.
Oh, you can-
This one here?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, Krishna book 10:22, 13:15. When the girls in the water heard such joking words from Krishna, they began to look at one another and smile. They were very joyous to hear such a request from Krishna because they were already in love with him. Out of shyness, they looked at one another, but they could not come out of the water because they were naked. Due to remaining in the water for a long time, they felt cold and were shivering. Yet upon hearing the pleasing and joking words of Govinda, their minds were perturbed with great joy. They began to tell Krishna, "Dear son of Nanda Maharaj, please do not joke with us in this way. It is completely unjust to us. You are very respectable. You are a very respectable boy because you are the son of Nanda Maharaj, and you are very dear to us. But you should not play this joke on us because now we are all shivering from the cold water. Kindly deliver our garments immediately, otherwise we shall suffer." They then began to appeal to Krishna with great submission. "Dear Shyamasundar," they said, "we are all your eternal servitors. Whatever you order us to do, we are obliged to perform without hesitation because we consider it our religious duty. But if you insist on putting this proposal to us, which is impossible to perform, then certainly we will have to go to Nanda Maharaj and lodge a complaint against you. If Nanda Maharaj does not take action, then we shall tell King Kamsa about your misbehavior."
Oh, this sounds like quite a discussion. What's going on here?
What's that?
What?
What's going on? Well, yeah, it's all complete joy. they are feeling joy also. This is my take on, because their desires, Krishna is reciprocating with their desire.
Right.
And this is, and they're responding to his playfulness. This
And
is,
also, so put back the words for a second, Patti. Swarga,
Yeah.
let's just see, I want to just ask you, dear Shamasundar, they said, we are all your eternal servitors. Read that. Start reading there.
Oh, I'm sorry.
okay. Where is it again? Dear Shyamasundar, they said, we are all your eternal servitors. Whatever you order us to do, we are obliged to perform without hesitation, because we consider it our religious duty. But if you insist on putting this proposal to us, which is impossible to perform, it's almost like that this hesitancy is actually, it's enhancing everything.
Yeah.
It's enhancing his pleasure. It's enhancing his pleasure is really what's happening.
But it's very genuine. It's very genuine. They're confused. They prayed for this. Now they have this opportunity, and they're actually joyful but terrified at the same time. That we have to go out of what are you doing? But it didn't work out quite the way that they thought, But this is Krishna churning the ras, but it's delightful, but it's happening to them, and they are genuinely very confused, joyful and confused at the same time. Very beautiful. Very beautiful.
Another symbolic thing that I'm picking up here is just like we living entities try to do anything but fully surrender. In other words, there's got to be some other way I can do it. I can't come out. Try this, try that, do this one. No, that final submission to coming out of the water naked. They're doing everything other than that, or trying to find another means by which they can avert that.
Right. It helps us to understand that all this Leela, all this pastime, is actually for us. It's allowing.
It's for both. It's for both. It's for us and for Krishna. He's having a real good time. I mean, it's us. It's a little bit for us. The fact that we get to see this and hear this and contemplate and discuss it, that's for us. We're very fortunate that we're here.
And we also get to see, like Dhruva was pointing out, that our own hesitation in taking up this process.
Good.
Actually, although we've taken up the process, like they've gone into the water, they had their purpose in mind. They've gone through so many austerities for a whole month to do it. Now they've got the fruit, but that final step they have to take is like Sama said, it's not what they were expecting. We want the fruit, but do we really want to go to the last limit that is required to get it?
The last limit. He's so
he's going to milk. We're going to read further. He milks it even
God.
further. He says, okay, now they've done this, but I wonder if they can do that.
Right.
Oh my God. That's what he's doing to us, really. People, we can relate, not maybe we can relate. You think you have it, then all of a sudden he's not. It's like, the horses and the carrot is there. You almost got it. And then Krishna comes up another, oh, by the way, you have to surrender and do this too. If we want the real thing. This is amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you, Swargaji. You have
Acharya
something else
has
to
his
say?
hand up.
I see. Just want to make sure if Swarga has shared as much as she would like to. You okay?
Yeah, that's it's good, because
Thank you.
like I love the opportunity to reflect, because we have to be where we are.
Yes, very good. That's very important. That we must reflect upon this. Thank you, Swarga. Acharya, did you want to say something?
Yeah, and I'll apologize because I actually kind of feel like I'm talking too much, but
That happens.
But this idea of like having to like really overcome some huge obstacle in order to surrender to Krishna is such a like in the Brihad Bhagavatamrita, there's a story, those who know the story of Narada Muni visiting all the different devotees to find out who's the actual recipient of Krishna's mercy. And he gets to Prahlad Maharaj, and Prahlad Maharaj is speaking humbly, but Narada Muni says, no, you're even greater than Lakshmi, because Lakshmi has always been the consort of Lord Vishnu, but you had to overcome difficulties and tolerate so much that you were even greater than Lakshmi,
I remember
because
that.
he
That
had
was
to
beautiful.
overcome and tolerate so much. So, and Prabhupada said, I can't remember the exact words, but something like, there's no question of a glorious victory without a hard struggle. So,
Right.
how the gopis are like
yes,
so torn and so almost blocked, like they don't know what to do. They want to surrender to Krishna, but they can't, is just an amazing scene in itself, and an amazing paradigm, I think, in our devotional service too.
Very good. Patti?
Just to elaborate, I remember that purport in that part that of Brihad Bhagavatamrita that Acharya was mentioning, and it's actually described that when a conditioned soul finally becomes liberated, it is super pleasing to Krishna, because he understands how much that's the glorification that Narada is saying to Prahlad. He's saying, no, you are more glorious than Lakshmi. She's always been there. She's been his eternal associate, but you've worked so hard, and then you reached perfection. Therefore, it's even more pleasing. That's the particular point he's making.
Yeah, and when a soul goes back, also in the Brihad, it is such a glorious celebration. One's coming up, and everybody, there's no envy. Everybody is so joyous, and you come up there you're totally exhausted. The whole trip has really wiped you out. If you really tried to serve Krishna,
Krishna muddied the ground with his tears.
and then finally you get the hug, and you're too exhausted. But then your spiritual body is not exhausted, though.
I think Vegavati were you raising your hand, Vega?
Yeah, I don't know how to hit the
Okay.
raising hand icon, but yes, two things actually. Nanda has recommended that I bring out my inner jukebox that she knows perfectly well I have, because everything in the material world is a reflection originally from Krishna's pastimes. So the old folks among us may remember a song about a girl who was afraid to come out of the water because she had a
Itsy bitsy
teeny
teeny
weeny
weeny.
yellow polka dot bikini.
Oh, that was like.
Yeah, so that was one. But the other thing is, a few years ago, I attended the Govardhan retreat with Jagat Tarini and Borijan and so forth. And Jagat Tarini's theme that year was about the Krishna stealing the garments of the unmarried gopi girls. And she said, in her introductory talk, she said, this is a very esoteric, and you may think it's not appropriate to discuss, but if we don't discuss it, this was soon after the Me Too movement had hit the headlines all over the world. And he was, and someone somewhere had actually posted a picture of Krishna with the naked gopis in the river, and in conjunction with this Me Too movement as some kind of an abuse. And she was saying it's so important that we as devotees understand the deep import, so that if someone comes to us having heard of it superficially with a wrong understanding, that we can correct them. Yeah, that's all.
Good point. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. Let's go on now with Kate. Kate, would you like to read for us? And then after Kate, Nanda.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Srimad
Krishna, sweetie.
10:22:16 Saratha Darshini. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, If you girls are actually my maidservants, and if you will really do what I say, then come here with your innocent smiles, and let each girl pick out her clothes. If you don't do what I say, I won't give them back to you. And even the king becomes angry. What can he do? Even if the king becomes angry, what can he do? Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakura commentary. After being defeated by their own words, the gopis stood speechless. Krishna then spoke. We will now test the truthfulness of your words. If you are really my servants, then you will do whatever I say. Please come forward with a smile and take your clothes. If you are not true to your words and fail this test of dharma, then I will not return your clothes. Suchi Smitaha means a smile expressing conjugal love. Thus, the gopis revealed their true inner feelings toward Krishna with their smiles full of conjugal affection. If you make, Krishna continued, as I am stronger, you should use sama instead of beta. If you make the king angry, what can you accomplish?
Go read this now.
10:22:17. Then, shivering from the painful cold, all the young girls rose up out of the water, covering their pubic area with their hands. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakura. The gopis talked among themselves. O Sakis, we have been defeated by our own words. Now, if we delay any longer, some other man may come along, and then we will be sunk in an ocean of shame. Our desire to touch Krishna's body has become even stronger and cannot be put to death even by drowning in the water. Therefore, it seems our fate has been written on our foreheads, and we can do nothing to change it. Therefore, yielding to his demands, we must put aside our embarrassment, send our obstinacy to hell, and close our eyes. In that darkness, we will cover our bodies and rise up from the water. Thus assuring each other that there was no alternative, the gopis rose up out of the water to meet Krishna.
Oh boy. Don't change it, because we want to talk about all of this is for Krishna. All this whole thing is for Krishna. So what can you tell us about this?
I don't know if I'm qualified to speak about it. I would rather hear what maybe some
Well,
other
to the extent that you can relate to it, because I know you can.
You know, they are, this is the moment, right, that they're surrendering. They've tried, they've tried many avenues, and you know, they have to rise up. Now is their chance.
Now is their chance. What does that mean, now is their chance?
Well, now is they're obtaining the object of their desire, right?
Right. So they have to go for it, right?
Mm-hmm.
I thought
On
it was
his
really.
terms.
What was that?
On his terms.
On his terms. It's always on Krishna's terms. Incidentally. So I thought it was interesting that closing their eyes, they're thinking they're just like a bunny rabbit puts his head in the dirt, and he thinks, no, there's a big bear there. No one's going to eat him. No one's going to see him. So if they close their eyes, it doesn't matter. They're in darkness, so he must be in darkness. No one's going to see. So they close their eyes like that to come out of the water. And then he does all kinds of trickery, telling them to put their hands up. And this is just this lovely battle. So, and they did all of this for Krishna. So can you relate to that, Kate? Doing all of this for Krishna, and whatever all of this means to you. I'm talking all of this, because that's what is required.
Yeah, it's actually something that I feel I spend a lot of time thinking about. Like, my all of this is really nothing compared to, what we're talking about here. But, it's because of this process, we are able to take our individual all of this, and if we, if our consciousness is there, we can offer it, and it can become an offering.
Good. And your all of this is extremely important to Krishna. It's not that someone else's is more important. Okay, so now we have a new phrase, all of this. Your all of this is just as important as anyone else's all of this. Because that all of this is your heart. That's all Krishna wants. He was just so happy to see these little girls coming out of the water, shy, but they just were everything to him because of their what? Because of their full surrender. Because they gave all of this to Krishna. So lovely. Okay, anyone else have something to say about how we're giving our all of this to Krishna? Because now we're going to conclude. Nanda's going to read the last 2 verses before we get there. Okay, let's go on. Nandaji, can you honor us and read these last verses?
Hare Krishna. 10, Srimad Bhagavatam 10, 22, 18, and 19 from Sharata Darshini. When the Supreme Lord saw how the gopis were struck with embarrassment, he was satisfied by their pure loving affection. Putting their clothes on his shoulder, the Lord smiled and spoke to them with affection. You girls bathe naked while executing your vow, and that is certainly an offense against the demigods. To counteract your sin, you should offer obeisances while placing your joined palms above your heads. Then you should take back your lower garments. And Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's comments are, Krishna became very satisfied to see the pure, unalloyed love, Sudhabhav, of the gopis, who, on his order, had given up all shyness, which was worse than death for those respectable girls. Krishna put the gopis' clothing on his shoulder out of greed to smell the fragrance of their bodies lingering on their clothes. By doing this, Krishna showed his love for the gopis. Krishna thought, out of love for me, these gopis have done something which is very difficult for any woman. But there remains something even more difficult, and I wonder if they can do it. Now let me test the power of their love. Krishna then smiled affectionately and with great boldness advised the gopis. Oh, gopis, you have said that you are my servants and that you will follow my words. Now I'm going to test you. If you come out of the water and stand before me, I will give you your clothing along with my body, mind, and soul.
Let's go on to this. Okay, finish up here.
From Krishna book, same verses. Upon hearing this appeal by the unmarried gopis, Krishna answered, my dear girls, if you think that you are my eternal servitors and are always ready to execute my order, then my request is that with your smiling faces, you please come here alone, one after another, and take away your garments. If you do not come here, however, and if you lodge complaints to my father, I shall not care anyway, for I know my father is old and cannot take any action against me.
Okay, Nanda.
Typical teenage attitude there. Sorry. No, the origin of all teenage attitudes, I mean to say. Okay, it's interesting that this is actually the summit of the gopis' surrender. It's the perfection, because why are they glorified? Why does Lord Chaitanya glorify the gopis' love for Krishna? Because they gave everything. Even they gave up their feeling, oh, I have a husband. Oh, well, these girls didn't, sorry. But anyway, in general. I have these designations, these upadhis. I'm a this, I'm a that, I'm a chaste girl. I come from a respectable family. I should do it like this. I should do it like that. They gave up all of that because their love for Krishna surpassed all of their designations. Their designation that they were holding on to was, we just want to serve and please Krishna. We don't even care if he's God or not, but we just want to please and serve Krishna. So,
go on.
Yeah, and so that's why he goes further and further, just like Dhruva Maharaj Prabhu said a few slides back. Well, he's going to even going to take it further by asking to come and stand with their hands above their heads. They surrendered to this test. Now there's still another little layer, and that's like what we feel like when we're so far away from it, but at the same time, even when we think we're surrendering, quote unquote, everything, there's always more.
There's a very big thing. Now I want to ask you that we often have discussed it amongst each other, you and I. Demands of society.
Yeah.
And this is what Madhavendra Puri, he prays, goodbye my morning bath, goodbye all of these other things that stand in the way of my purely giving my heart to you. So the gopis are having, this is the battle in their own hearts, is the demands of society. How are they going to get out of it? They even said their chastity. That is the most valuable thing for a young girl to give up. So what do you have to say about that? Because it seems to me that's what's happening.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. And Krishna's always going for he doesn't like anything mediocre. He wants it all. He likes things to the extreme surrender or extreme test or whatever. He doesn't like to leave any traces of self-importance behind. He wants it all 100% surrendered to Krishna. So therefore he digs down even deeper each time. But
ultimately it comes between you and Krishna. Of course, under the instruction of the spiritual master, it becomes you and Krishna in this battle of getting out of the water, completely surrendering to Krishna. It's a really profound process and described very nicely in this Bhagavatam section. Anything else you want to tell us, Nandaji?
That's it for me. I'm sure you might have something else you want to add.
Actually, Sama, I want to go on with some slides that weren't included in your version.
Oh, okay.
I got a couple more here. Just regarding that, sometimes devotees are now, Acharya's done it a couple of times, Premananda, placing forums, quoting different Acharya's talks. And as we go through these upcoming chapters more and more, well, we often hear Sanskrit terms that are a little bit confusing because we're not familiar with them. So I'll put this also on the forums ultimately when we get it together. But for the last few weeks, we've been doing one of these at a time. You may remember we discussed Udipan during the descriptions of the forests of Vrindavan and all the different features, the clouds, the sky, the breezes carrying the aroma of the flowers, Krishna's flute, his dress, inspired the gopis and the different residents of Vrindavan, all the deer and the cows hearing his flute. It's an awakening. Udipan means something that awakens or stimulates love. In whom does it inspire? This is all under the Vibhava category. Then the next one is the people that are inspired, and there's always two. This is the alambana, the support, the ones who have love or experience love. One is the lover, the ashraya, and the other one is the beloved, the vishaya. Ashraya means shelter. It's the shelter of the emotions, the one who has the emotions of love, and vishaya is the one upon whom those are bestowed. So those are the two main ones in Vibhava. And then the next ingredient after Vibhava is called Sthayi Bhava. Sthayi Bhava is the inherent continuous love of the ashraya. The person who's in love has a nature, just like a seed has a nature. And when it's germinated, whatever potential plant is within the seed will come out. So there's a couple of verses here that will substantiate that and kind of explain that reference more clearly. This is the Sthayi Bhava, the continuous love of the person who has love, the ashraya. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Mamaivam sao jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatana manaksa stanindriyani prakriti stani karshati. The living entities in this conditioned world are my eternal fragmental parts. Due to conditioned life, they're struggling very hard with the six senses, which include the mind. Bhagavad Gita 15:7. So this part is the important part. They're my eternal fragmental parts. Now, within each part, Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema Sadhikabunoi Shravanada Sudha Chitte Karya Udoy. Pure love for Krishna is eternally established in the hearts of the living entities. It is not something to be gained from another source. When the heart is purified by hearing and chanting, this love naturally awakens. So the eternal fragmental parts, every single jiva, every single little part and parcel of Krishna has an eternal love of Krishna established in it, just like a seed has a plant in it. And if you plant that seed, then it germinates and the potential which is within it comes out. So this process of Krishna consciousness is awakening our dormant love for Krishna. And in each individual, that individual's constitutional nature is called its sthayi bhava, its inherent continuous love. Someone is a friend, someone is a parent, someone is a lover, someone is a servant. Everyone has an individual nature. Just like Gopakumar in the Brihad Bhagavatamrita, for those who know the story, he had an inherent nature as a cowherd boy. And no matter where he went in the material creation or even in the spiritual Vaikunthas, he went to Ayodhya, he went to Hastinapur, he went to Dwarka, and still, even though he saw the lords of each one of those, he saw Krishna in Dwarka. He saw Krishna as Mahavishnu. He saw Krishna, Lord Ram. And still, because he was a cowherd boy by nature, he was still feeling propelled that I have to find that Lord of my life. So each one of us, every living entity, has this inherent nature, and the process of Krishna consciousness awakens that, and that's called sthayi bhava.
Wow. Pati, do me a favor.
Yeah.
After that was a beautiful explanation. Bring back that chart again. I wanted to just bring up one other point here. Not that, yeah. So the Ashraya and the Vishaya, sometimes, so the Ashraya is the shelter of the love, and bestowing upon the Vishaya. But sometimes in relationships, they do change places. They do change places.
Give an example. That's a good point.
Okay, so sometimes Krishna is reciprocating with the living entity who is the lover. The living entity is considered to be the Ashraya because he has the love for Krishna. But Krishna certainly is feeling deep love and arranging things for us to love him and develop that relationship. It's the natural thing that both of them change places. That's the reciprocation. Sometimes one is the Ashraya, sometimes one is the Vishaya. Otherwise, it's like, a mother loves her child, and the child might not reciprocate, only in need rather than giving love. We have to learn how to give love and receive love, and that Ashraya and Vishaya, that relationship, that's how it is. We give, we take, we give, we take, and it stimulates each other.
Very good. Perfect. Any questions, comments?
Yeah, after we do this, I am so exhausted because this is all spiritual. And I remember in the beginning, people were falling asleep when Prabhupada was giving class. The thing is, because we're not used to the spiritual energy, the material body, even Lord Chaitanya himself, how can you walk around this material body feeling all this divine love for Krishna? Doesn't hold up sometimes. Okay.
Thakur Murari. Yep.
Thakur.
Okay, just to, as usual, express my thanks for the presenters, and that we cannot overstate the importance of Sadhu Sangha. So thanks again. And
thank you all.
Also for the devotees that each week end, participate in discussion, and we learn so much more in the association of devotees. So thank you again, Prabhu, for the presentation and for the participation. Hare Krishna.
Yes, thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Chikalpa Tarubdascha, Kripa
Kripa Siddhivedcha.
Bhavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo, Namo Namaha. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
See you next week.